Hello everyone, ladies, gentlemen, and otaku alike. This is Recall Reviews. Attilio back here again, and today we're not only doing something different, but we are somewhere very different. Right now I am in my hotel room in Newark, New Jersey. I drove all the way up here so that I can go see an Iron Maiden concert, and I just got out of the concert about an hour ago. I had some food, I got relaxed, I got everything set up to do this video, and it was the best concert I have ever been to. Iron Maiden is my #1 favorite band, and they played a couple of my favorite songs tonight, which was incredible, and they are so good live. And well, I don't want to get too sidetracked. Just know that the Iron Maiden concert was fantastic, and I loved it. But that's not what this video is about. This video is about a Berserk live-action fan cast. Now, I know you've seen a bunch of fan casts in the past, and this is just going to be one of them, well, many. But I was upstate New York in Queensbury visiting my cousins, and I was hanging out on the, on their deck with my cousin's husband, who's a good friend of mine, and we were doing shots, we were smoking cigars and shooting the shit and talking about Berserk. So we started talking about who we would cast in a live-action movie if we saw that they were making one. And it was so good and it was so fun, I decided to take all those down as notes. So forgive me if I have to consult my phone to check out the list. But I'm going to start doing the fan cast. So let's start off big. Who's going to play Guts? Guts is an incredibly deep and intricate character, and you need at least 2 actors to play him. You need an actor to play young Guts, who's like the young to mid-teen, and adult Guts, who's anywhere from, 20 to 28, roughly. So, for young Guts, right here, I would cast Tom Holland. That's right, that Tom Holland. Good old Peter Parker, Spider-Man Tom Holland. Now, the reason why is because Tom Holland looks close enough to the actor that I would cast as an adult Guts. But I also think that because of some of Tom Holland's own life experience and struggles, he can channel that angst and animosity into what would be like the young Guts. And I think that Tom Holland has what it takes to pull off the character. Now, let's move on to the young Griffith. So for a young Griffith, I think I would cast, and my friend as well agreed, that Timothy Chalamet, I think, would be a great young Griffith. Like, Griffith, when you first see him, when he challenges Guts and makes him join the Hawks, I think, so here's young Griffith, here's Timothy Chalamet, and here's some AI or Photoshop image right now of somebody did as Timothy Chalamet as young Griffith. And I think it could work. Now, let's move on to adult Guts. Who would be a good adult Guts? Here's adult Guts. Who can be this guy? Well, my friend and I only had one actor in mind. And that actor is Henry Cavill. Tell me you don't just automatically agree. Henry Cavill would be a perfect adult Guts. He's got the look, he's got the build. Hell, he could get even bigger if you wanted. Here's just some AI'd up poster that I found on Google. Henry Cavill as Guts, Berserk. Like, you would watch that movie. I would too. So now we're going to move on to the next one, which is adult Griffith. We both also only had one actor in mind, and adult Griffith, that actor would be Tom Hiddleston. All he would need to do is just make Loki a little more charming and have white hair, and that's Griffith. Now, we're going to move on to the third biggest character in Berserk, which is Casca. Casca right here. Who would be a good Casca? Well, as we were talking, we had I had two actors in mind and he only had one, and the one he had was also one that I had. So the first one, I would think that Halle Bailey, right here, could potentially be a good Casca. Now, I haven't seen her act, but I like her general look, and I'm sure she can put on like another 10 to 15 pounds of muscle for the role. And I think she might be able to channel the emotional depth of the character. That being said, not as strong of a choice as the one other actress that both my friend and I kind of agreed would be great, and that would be Zendaya. And Zendaya or Zendaya, I think it's Zendaya, but Zendaya, if you've seen her in Euphoria, she can definitely channel that emotional depth and range you would need for Casca. And I'm sure with a role like that, she too would have no problem putting on 10 or 15 pounds of visible muscle for the role and doing all the physical, laborious fight scenes and all that stuff. I think that Zendaya would be a great Casca. Now, so after that, we're gonna do the cast for Pippin. Now, he didn't kind of have a general idea. He had some people he was thinking of, but I only had one actor in mind for Pippin, and that is Terry Crews. I think Terry Crews would be so much fun as Pippin, and tell me you wouldn't want to see Terry Crews carrying Tom Holland like this. After that, let's consult the list one more time. Let's see. Judo. Now, for Judo, that's a little bit tougher of a choice. I would say for Judo, you should go with an unknown actor. Judo has enough emotional depth to be a fully realized character. You get enough of his backstory, like he's enough of a real fleshed out character. But I think any decent unknown actor, just give him blonde hair and I think he can do the job. After Judo, Rickard. The same general thing. Rickard here, I think you can give to multiple unknown young actors. I'm sure you can pluck a couple Disney actors and have them do Rickard. After Rickard, Isidro. And Isidro, again, pick an unknown. You just need a young actor that can be really annoying. So, after Isidro, we have Sherky or Shrike, however you want to pronounce the name. Now, the actress we had in mind was Freya Allen. Both my friend and I kind of, upon really doing a little bit of digging, we kind of both agreed that even though Freya Allen is a fair bit older than the character Sherky or Shrike, again, however you pronounce the name, I say Sherky, but I think Freya Allen would be a good choice because she can, again, capture the emotional depth of the character, and I think she can do a lot of fun stuff. And it'd just be really good to see the father-daughter type thing again between Henry Cavill and Freya Allen. I think that would be really fun because, again, they had Geralt and Ciri. So, after Sherky, we have Farnese. Now, Farnese is an interesting character. Farnese is one of the characters who has a major story arc and a major character arc and evolves so much to the point where she is a fan favorite character. I think that there are two actresses, and my friend and I kind of agreed on it to a point. There are two actresses that we had in mind who we think could be a good Farnese. And this is with the knowledge that the other actress in mind could be used for somebody else somewhere down the line. But the first actress I had in mind for Farnese is Daphne Keane. So Farnese here, Daphne Keane here, X-23 herself. She's a fantastic actress. I like her look. I think she'd look good with blonde hair. She's toned up enough from her X-23 stuff and the stunt work and the stuff she already does. And she does practice martial arts, at least that's what I read. But she can do the physical stuff that Farnese does, which is very, very limited, but it's really, I think, the acting depth and range she has. Now, the other actress we had in mind was Millie Bobby Brown. That's right, number 11 herself. Millie Bobby Brown can more than harness the emotional depth to bring the character to life. And I think that both actresses really would bring something unique to the table for Farnese. Now, after Farnese, we have Serpico. Serpico was really hard for us to try and figure out, to the point where we couldn't figure something out, and I just kind of gave the generic, well, I'll just give it to an unknown actor. But there is a young actor named Max Charles who I think could potentially fit the role. You know, he's got, here he is, Max Charles. He's got brown hair. You can dye it blonde or give him a good wig. And I think he's known enough because of his Disney work, but I think he's relatively unknown enough that he wouldn't have maybe that kind of name brand pressure. So, after Serpico, we have another big one, Skeleton Knight. And boy, oh boy, we went back and forth for like almost 30 minutes between three actors who we think could be Skeleton Knight. And again, this is with full knowledge that all these actors would be used for other roles down the line. So, the first one that I selected, that I picked, that I believe would be fantastic as Skeleton Knight, if nothing for the voice alone, Skeleton Knight here is none other than Keith David. Oh, tell me you wouldn't want to hear that voice coming out of that skeleton skull helmet, like with that slightly tinny. I think Keith David would act the shit out of that role. I think that would be fantastic. My friend said Idris Elba. And yeah, Heimdall from Thor. I think Idris Elba would be able to do the physical stuff a little easier than Keith David, because Skeleton Knight does have a couple decent fight scenes. They're very far and few between, but he does do a little physical stuff. But Idris Elba, I think, could potentially also be a great choice for it. But then that's when I said, look, if you want someone who can be really physical, has a good presence, has a good voice, I picked Michael Jai White. And Michael Jai White spawned himself, who has evolved so much as an actor and director and writer, and he's physical. He's a real martial artist. He's got the acting ability. He's got a great voice. I think that and then we both kind of looked at it and said, yeah, I think Michael Jai White would be our Skeleton Knight. Now, after Skeleton Knight, we have Nosferatu Zod. Now, I only had one actor in mind, and he agreed right off the bat. So for Nosferatu Zod, I picked Sylvester Stallone. I think that voice coming out of this guy would be terrifying and would be intense and badass and really cool. And Sylvester Stallone still likes doing the physical stuff. So I think he'd have no real issue doing the physical stuff as Nosferatu Zod. Future. Oh, and as for the king, I said Patrick Stewart should be the king of Midland. So I think that that would be good. And then you could either cast Daphne Keane or Millie Bobby Brown as Princess Charlotte. So either or, they're both going to be used in strong roles. The last one that we have on this list, now let me make sure I have the name correct, because I have it written. Okay, so Slan of the God Hand, which was as far as we got, because then the drinks and the cigar smoke was starting to get to us. So Slan of the God Hand, which is her right here, was the last one that we talked about before we packed it in for the night, and then we just never revisited the next day. But I only had one, well, I had two actresses in mind. Number one, I had Anne Hathaway in mind. But even more than her, I think the actress who could do it far more justice is Eva Green, or Eva Green, I believe it's pronounced. So Eva Green is a great actress. She is fantastic. She has emotional range. She can be a sick, deranged individual. But most of all, for Slan, she is a particularly promiscuous and erotic type character. And Eva Green, at this point, is very used to being nude in most of her movies. So Eva Green, I think, would be a wonderful choice for Slan of the God Hand. But if you guys like this video and you want to see another like it, and this is something that you guys really enjoyed, because I kind of enjoyed talking about this again, and I'll definitely do a part 2 and come up with, I think, a good cast for some of the other characters you meet throughout the story of Berserk, whether they be important side characters or important secondary characters or one-off for an archetype character. This was a lot of fun, and I love talking at you guys. And, you know, I love Berserk, and I really just kind of thought this would be a fun thing to do. So, with all that being said, thank you for watching. Tune in next time.